Obviously, Love is a very good basketball player. But I think the way the Cavs were using him anyway, it's almost like he was a glorified James Jones. So I'm not trying to say that losing Love didn't matter, because it mattered on the glass. And he's still he's a significantly better talent than any of these guys that you're coming in to shoot on the wing and whatnot. But the way the Cavs used him, by losing him, I don't think it was really vital. Like, I don't think it was a huge blow. Kyrie's probably a little bit more of a blow, just for the simple fact that, for one, I think he's a better offensive talent. Two, he was much more of a focal point in the offense than Kevin Love was.
Right.
But either way, dude, it's still impressive.
It's kind of scary, though, to think that without a Kyrie and Love now, like, LeBron's kind of going to, like...
It's legit, obviously, he's been great.
And we're not the biggest LeBron guy.
Yeah, we're not by any stretch. You can probably even tell in our tone, but...
I mean, look at this bench, though. I mean, like, James Jones, you're turning,
Yeah, and, JR and Shumpert are playing well.
But, this team is not even, like, it's that impressive at all.
It's not.
Right.
Tristan's been huge with the Kevin Love injury.
I like Mozgov, but he's not, like, a top 10 center or anything.
Tristan may even be more valuable with the way he's used in this offense because of the lack of size and his presence just on the glass. And even though Love has the same presence, it's just that they always have him parking outside on the three, that even on the offensive glass, he wasn't always down there.
This is also more an indictment on just how bad the East.
Listen, the Hawks are a great story. I mean, no one saw 60 wins, let's be honest. But, I mean, come on. Are you really blown away? They struggled against Brooklyn in the first round, and they were probably a D-Will missed jumper away from being down 3-1 in the series.
Let's be honest, they were done last round. They should have
lost. The Wizards didn't have John Wall for a couple of games in that series. They even lost one of those games with Ramon Sessions running the show.
And they got bailed that Pierce 3 was just
that could have been Game 7 back in Atlanta. And dude, let's be honest. Would you have been surprised if they lost Game 7 at home to the Wiz? I mean, it's just a shame.
It's a shame because they had a great year and now they're just.
It's just like, the Hawks team, I don't think it ever really moved anybody. I think we were all kind of excited because it was interesting.
You want that brand of basketball to succeed.
It's great to watch because you saw it with the Spurs and, people calling them the Spurs East.
Right.
And Spurs Light, and those are nice nicknames, but clearly they're not on the Spurs level. I guess back to the original point, though, like, this is probably, I don't want to say as impressive as what LeBron did in his first go-around with Cleveland, because those teams were worse.
Right.
With the Mo Williams and Antoine Jameson at the end of his line.
But let's say if Kyrie and Love are done the rest of the way, can LeBron take this team past any of the West teams, you think? But this would totally define his greatness, though.
It would. But I don't think they're beating. I mean, you think they're beating Golden State? And right now, let's assume that Golden State.
Right. No, you would think.
You think they're beating Golden State?
No, you would think the Golden State or any Western Conference team would have the edge. I mean, the Rockets, I don't know. I mean, without Beverly, Cleveland might have a chance.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Rockets have enough defense, to be perfectly honest. The thing would, especially against LeBron. Right. Like, Ariza is obviously a very good defensive player, but he's probably too small to be able to really contain LeBron the whole game. But to me, with Golden State, like, they can throw three different guys at LeBron defensively. Draymond Green, who's one of the best defensive guys in the league. Also, his size, I think, matters for how he can match up physically against LeBron. A lot of these guys, like even a DeMar Carroll, very good, but he's too weak. He's not. I don't want to kill, but he's just not. He's not big enough,
and he's also not giving LeBron a threat on the offensive end. Where
not really.
LeBron's not gonna have to worry.
Draymond's a little more of a factor,
right?
But Draymond Green, they can throw at him for most of the game. Great defensive player.
Right.
Iggy, they can throw at him defensively at some points of the game. I don't think you can do it too long because size is going to be a factor. But even Harrison Barnes, you can throw at him a little bit defensively. Again, those two guys are clearly lesser in terms of a one-on-one matchup than LeBron. But if you're going to have three different guys coming at you throughout the course of the game, probably giving you problems in different aspects.
They're going to need Kyrie for sure.
Especially against
against Steph. You're going to need somebody like Kyrie to put the pressure on Steph.
But dude, here's the other thing with Kyrie, and he's obviously an offensive talent.
You love Kyrie.
The other thing with Kyrie going down, it's almost as if Cleveland's defense has gotten that much better because Kyrie's not a good defensive guard.
And, listen, I know you're going to hate it as a Knicks fan. The former Knicks are that's the X factor right now. JR.
No, it is. I mean, dude, JR in game one.
And Shump down.
When Kyrie went down. I'm sorry, that one he went down. But Kyrie was a little bit hobbled. He played, but he was hobbled. But JR in Game 1, when LeBron was on the bench,
lights out.
I don't know if you heard.
That's how he is, though.
Brian Windhorst of ESPN yesterday, because JR came out and said he'd prefer to take a contestant shot over an open shot. And then Windhorst provided some of the analytics, the part that I can't stand. But this actually, it helps JR's cause, dude. When JR is open, he shoots 40%, but when he's guarded, he shoots 48.
That's crazy.
He's been shooting 40. Like, dude, that's insane. When you got a contested shot and you're shooting better than when you're wide open. But yeah. Do I hate to see it? Yeah, because JR mailed it. I mean, we watched JR for a couple years. And he had a good, obviously, when he had the 6
man. Did you see the shot? Somebody else posted, like, a shot chart. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. Like,
with Hennessy, right? Yeah. And then people got offended. I mean, give it up. Why is everyone so soft? I mean, that's the other thing.
But Shump, though, I think Shump is more
defensively.
That's the more interesting case study because
JR is doing what he's done. I mean, he's done this. We've seen this. Shump is playing at a much higher level right now in the play, because how many times did we see in New York, even in some big games, his line at the end of the night, he's playing 30 minutes, 4 points, no factor on defense. Like, he was irrelevant for a lot of the time.
The other thing that people keep bringing up too, it's going to be like an indictment on your boy Melo. But they're saying, why are Shump and JR playing at this level?
Well, here's one thing,
and I know obviously the obvious is that LeBron is obviously the better player than Carmelo,
which is clear.
But they're trying to make the case that this is why Melo is not a team guy, not an assist
But this is one thing I can't stand. JR had the best year of his career with Melo when he won the 6th Man of the Year. That's what I don't, but JR is what he is. Fair. But he had the best year of his career with Melo when they won 54 games. Shumpert was kind of up and down a little bit. He was coming off the ACL. He had some great spots. He had some spots where he just didn't show up.
And this is probably better offense for him and more of a role for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you had Amari getting touches. This is where they create space.
JR was relied so much more in New York because he had to be the second guy.
Right.
Because basically, really just the talent just wasn't there and the offensive flow, like you say. But with LeBron, not that anyone really has to be the second guy. You just have to
get open,
be in your spots because LeBron's going to get you the ball where you need to get it, where you want to get it, where you're going to be open. The other thing is, Melo's obviously an elite scorer. When healthy, was, I think, arguably, for sure, top 10. But just because they were in the same draft class doesn't mean we always need to compare LeBron and Melo. Like, everyone in the world knows that LeBron is a better player than Melo. So that's why I don't understand why that's always brought up every single time.
Why it's a shocking.
And why is that a shot to Melo that he's not as good as LeBron? Nobody's as good as LeBron. So why is it like...
Right. It comes down to it because you got former Knicks. That's why it's always...
Yeah, and everyone hates... And people always hate Melo. Like, it just comes down to that. It's people always hate Melo, and anytime there's a former Knick that's excelling in any degree, like even Pablo Prigioni in Houston, who, by the way, is doing the exact same shit that he did here in New York, but... Oh, look at Pablo. He's performing in a playoff.
He's still putting up 4 and 4 like he was in New York.
He's doing the exact same thing, but because he's not on the Knicks and he's not with Melo and he's somewhere else, oh, well, look at what these guys are doing without the Knicks and without Melo and so on. It's like, it's frustrating.
It's funny, too, when people, still bring up Mozgov, and wasn't even on the same vein.
It took him 5 years to become a respectable center.
He just became good last year on Denver.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago.
Last 20 games of last season.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this guy can maybe play 20 minutes a night now.
Right.
That's the other thing. And I hear people coming back to me now about the Melo trade and the fact that they included Mozgov. Mozgov has been nothing for 4 years. He's been completely irrelevant for 4 years,
and then he got a chance in Denver. But that team obviously was on the way down, and it was trash. So he got a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, that's why. And it's just, but it always goes back. I love it. We jumped to about 7 different topics. On this
it's fun. It's still related to the Cavs. But it's all the Cavs.
It is, and the supporting cast. It's not great, but I don't think it's that terrible because some guys are really good in their roles. Like, JR is good in his role. Shump is good in his role.
Tristan's great in his role.
He's excelling in his role right now. Mozgov is solid in his role.
Delvin knows he's a
exactly.
And
guard. It's deep. It's a deep team to an extent of it's a lot of the same guys.
Right.
Not on a talent level similar, but like the Hawks are about 9 deep with a lot of the same style players. Those secondary pieces are obviously a lot more talented than these Cavs secondary pieces. But what's the one thing we said about the Hawks all year? They don't have that guy.
You don't have the guy. You don't have LeBron James. And it's funny when you talk about the old Cavs too, in comparison to this Cavs team. You had guys like Boobie Gibson thought he was more than he was.
Yeah, Mo Williams thought he was more than he was.
Whereas, like we're saying, a guy like Dellavedova knows his role. Tristan knows his role.
Yeah.
You don't have guys really playing out of character, which is actually
one thing, though, with the Cavs that I think is going to be interesting. In the offseason, I think JR might have a player option. I'd have to check that out, but he might have a player option. Shumpert's a restricted free agent. Tristan's a restricted free agent. Kevin Love's an unrestricted free agent. They've got some financial questions coming up. They might want to keep this cast. Or, I don't know what they're going to be looking at with Love. That's a situation on its own. I'm sure they want to bring him back. But I'm talking about the secondary guys. Sometimes these 3 or 4 secondary guys could be just as, especially with the way they use Love, could be just as important as bringing back a Kevin Love, because now you're adding depth and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of money Tristan gets offered, what kind of money Shump gets offered, and whatever JR, if JR wants to opt out and look for a bigger deal, or who knows with him.
Well, I know Tristan probably could get an offer. Obviously,
I think so. And he's what was he, the 4th overall pick, third or 4th overall pick a few years ago? Here's one thing, just to kind of bookend it with LeBron. Let's just say, for argument's sake, because I don't think Kyrie's going to play the rest of the series, and he doesn't have to, because the Hawks are done. So if he wins a title, let's be honest, if he wins a title with, because even if Kyrie comes back, he's probably not going to be 100%. 60% Kyrie and no Kevin Love and a lot of good role players. Now against a very good Warriors team. Now that people are going to catapult his legacy regardless.
I know.
Because that's just how it is.
And me, you're going to hate it.
Yeah, and I'm going to hate it.
We're going to hate it. But in a weird, twisted way, because we all know Vlad has no input whatsoever, does he get more credit? Because he's basically calling all the plays.
Well, yeah.
You're going to have to even give him more credit.
You're right
because
about that.
He's pretty much coaching the team.
Yeah.
LeBron's coaching this team. There is no coach. It is LeBron James. So if he takes this team, he beats given there was, the injuries with Powell, whatever, with the Bulls in that second round. Yeah. Beating the Bulls, then shorthanded, beating this Hawks team that was number 1 undisputed the whole year. Then beating the Warriors, most likely. That would be pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's where it's like, all right,
that gets real.
To me, if that happened, this title run would be significantly better than any other title run he had.
Yep.
Whether it's to the finals or the 2 times that he won it in Miami.
Right.
Because, we all know what he had in Miami. If he does it with what he's got at Cleveland right now this year.
And what he's lost. That's what he's saying. No Love, no Kyrie.
Yeah, and it's not like this is a so-so team coming out of the West. Like this team has been the best from top to bottom, offensively and defensively, all season long. So if he's able to do
going like 10, 11 deep too.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Guys like David Lee not even being able to sniff the court anymore.
David Lee.
Yeah, I got something else for David Lee. But if
20 and 10, man.
Yeah, on a bad team. That's the thing with David Lee. He's never been good on a good team. Like that's when
he's good. In a way, he was good for the fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy was. There's guys who are good in fantasy and trash in real life, and that's the mold that David Lee fits.
All right, we're going to finish it.
But then I would say for sure this would be the most impressive run and title in LeBron's career. Obviously, it's not done yet, but we'll see. Obviously, we still got. We'll see how the NBA Finals shake down, but. Thanks for listening to the 6 Fouls Bod podcast. For AB, I'm M. Dot. Catch you next time.